The Case of the Hollow Town. Detective Ralston's Journal. Handwritten, redacted copy. Day 1 arrival. They say the town's called Ashridge. I got here eerily in the morning and rented room 6. The mountain air, it's so clean it almost burns your lungs. Folks here smile too easily, too long. And when they blink, it's like they're trying to remember how. The ride up here took 4 hours, but the last mile felt longer than the rest combined. Dead quiet, no birds, no wind. Just the crunch of gravel under my tires and that weird feeling behind the eyes like being watched through a keyhole. But I didn't come here for the weather. I came here because 2 case files, both classified, both red flag with anomalous activity, pointing me straight to this little patch of nowhere. One was about her, Claire, the escapee, the monster, the one who vanished from a prison facility after melting the walls and walking out like a ghost wrapped in skin since her breakout. Sightings have surfaced from coast to coast, but all of them eventually pointed back here. The other file was new, something about a wolf man. Eyewitness reports described it stalking through towns in broad daylight, leaving no prints, only bodies. One report, from Ashridge again, simply read, "It stood up on 2 legs and it smiled like it knew my name." Too weird to dismiss. And when I ran both cases through an old clearance channel, I shouldn't still have access to a name lit up in both reports. The Ouroboros Collective. No address, no contact, just a symbol burned into the footer of each file, a serpent eating its own tail wrapped around a spiral. Someone, somewhere, wanted his connection buried. I don't bury things, I dig them up. Day 2, the town. I started with the diner. I was directed by the young lady at the desk of the motel. Her name was Marcy. She was quite friendly, but I could tell she was nervous about something, and the people who walked by the front window looked at us with odd stares. When I walked into the dinner, my first thoughts were small place, linoleum floors, coffee that smells like regret. Locals wouldn't talk about Claire or the wolf man, but they sure acted like they were hiding something. They seemed especially nervous when I mentioned the wolf man. Odd. Everyone a little too in sync here, like they're all reading from the same unspoken script. One woman dropped her mug and just stared at the mess like she didn't understand gravity anymore. Another man blinked blood from his eyes, but swore it was allergies. I offered to call a doctor. He laughed like I told a joke, only he understood. And then there was the boy, maybe 10, sitting alone at the counter, swinging his legs. He looked at me with only one eye, the other remained on his drawing and smiled, but his smile felt empty, then went back to coloring. Day 3, the files. Back at the motel. Can't sleep. The light buzzes even when it's off. Been rereading the classified documents. Claire's file is full of holes, like someone took a cheese grater to the truth. But certain words repeat. Vector, organism. Repeat, an observer. Every instance is redacted except in one note scribbled in the margins. Ouroboros believes she is a singularity, an anchor for recursion events. Her emergence coincides with anomalous spikes in temporal elasticity. I don't pretend to know what that means, but it scares me. The second file, the wolf creature, mentions something else. Autopsy reports on its victims show not claw marks, but cranial scarring. The skulls were surgically split. Brain tissue rearranged. Not eaten, reorganized. I thought it was a coincidence. Then I read the third file, one that wasn't in the original batch. It was slipped under my door this morning. No return address, just a stamped heading. Subject, brain spider. Classified, man-made parasitic symbiont. I read it twice, apparently. The brain spider was part of an experimental program under Ouroboros. The goal, enhance cognitive processing, share information across hosts. A hive of thought. I keep thinking about the man with the bleeding eyes, the waitress who didn't flinch when scalded, the boy who knew my name before I said it. How many of them are still just people? Tomorrow, I start searching the woods. The townspeople talk of an old research station hidden in the hills. If the Ouroboros Collective left anything behind, it'll be there. If Claire's involved, if she ever came through here, that's where she'd go. And maybe that's where I'll find the truth, or what's left of it. Ralston's Journal, Ashridge, Vermont. Day 4. I found something last night, tucked in the motel's front desk drawer like someone wanted to find it. Or maybe whoever ran this place used to be one of them. It's a file, one that shouldn't exist outside a vault under 10 feet of concrete. Black folder, no title. Inside, a full case report on subject number 7289W, the wolf. And if this thing is real, if what's written here hasn't been twisted or scrubbed, then I've made a mistake, a big one. Excerpt. Case number 7289W, the wolf. Alias, the gray witness, the tall howler, threat level, reclassified, neutral/observe only. Notes: subject exhibits signs of high cognitive function, interdimensional awareness, and voluntary engagement with anomaly events. No confirmed deaths, not one. Every attack I flagged in the database, bodies torn open in the woods, survivors rambling about a monster, wasn't from this thing at all. The victims? Every single one had cranial damage consistent with parasitic infestation. The file calls an external stabilizing agent, some kind of anomaly magnet. It shows up when things go wrong, not to cause the damage, but to witness, maybe even contain it. I didn't believe it at first, until I read the Pinhook case. A teenage girl infected, symptoms, sleep paralysis, blackouts, echoes in the mirror. She collapses outside her home, and they find her later uninfected, but clutching a ball of slick black matter in her hands. Crushed, ruptured, security footage from a nearby barn caught him. The wolf standing over her, buckled in the moonlight, like something out of fairy tale gone sideways. And then, gone. What kind of monster removes a parasite and leaves the host alive? What was strange, though, is the girl's face could not be captured on the camera, as if her face was just a blur. Day 5, the town is getting worse. I walked Main Street this morning. No cars, no kids, just a hum of power lines and townsfolk sitting outside like mannequins left in the sun too long. One man held a newspaper upside down. Another was rocking back and forth, mumbling about the stars humming. The woman at the gas station smiled for 7 full minutes when she saw me, before speaking. "He's here," she said. "The monster with the golden eyes. He's watching the cracks, and he is guiding us all through the abyss." She didn't blink once. But I didn't feel fear, not like I thought I would. I felt clarity, like she was trying to tell me something I already knew, but refused to accept it. Something's leaking through. Day 6 night. There's a facility hidden past the tree line. Locals avoid it. They don't even acknowledge the road. It just bends away from memory. I caught it on a topographic overlay, a blank spot, square-shaped like someone cut out of the forest and never stitched it back in. The file on the brain spider mentions a lab. Echo Seed Test Site 13B. That's what this has to be. If the Ouroboros Collective did their work here, then the wolves, the parasites, the Claire incident, it's all linked. I think the wolf came here, too. I think it tried to stop this place from making whatever it made, but the monster wasn't him. It was us. Tomorrow I look for the facility. I pack my notes. Flashlight, gun, though I don't know what good it'll do. Something tells me if it comes down to survival, bullets won't help me much. I'm not sure what I'm walking into, but I need to understand why Claire's trail ends here, why the town's minds have gone quiet and strange, and how does all this connect together. I came in right before sundown, empty-handed, even the air smelled stale. She was already behind the counter, stirring an empty cup, muttering to herself. "What's wrong?" I asked. She looked up, smiled, but there was something wrong with it. Like her mouth had learned the idea of a smile, not the feeling behind it. "You're not supposed to stay this long," she said, voice flat. "Outsiders get sick when they stay too long. It's in the air, the sheets, the water." I froze. My hand drifted toward my jacket pocket. Not the gun, not yet, just the recorder. I turned it on. "Marcy, what are you talking about?" She tilted her head, blinked too slowly, then calmly. She lifted her hand to her temple and dug her thumbnail into her scalp. I heard it tear, a sound like a pop. Something shifted under her skin, a ripple like worms beneath a sheet. Her skull pulsed, and out from beneath the thinning hair, a slick black leg slid upward, then another, and another. The spider unfurled from her head like a grotesque blossom. Its body, pale gray, bulbous, twitching, was shaped like a human brain, but with dozens of spidery limbs curling down into her spinal cord, like it wore her body like a puppet suit. It didn't climb out, it just repositioned itself, clicking, then slowly folded back inside her skull, the skin sealing over it as if nothing happened. Marcy blinked, smiled again. "See," she whispered. "We're better this way, and you can join us." I backed out without a word. No gunfire, no chase, just the sound of ceramic breaking behind me as she dropped a cup and laughed. Day 7, the woods. Whatever was inside Marcy isn't unique. That was a brain spider. It can retract into the skull, hide perfectly. These people, they're walking masks. I had to stop by a nearby ally to empty the contents of my stomach. The town is a hive, and I've been sleeping inside the nest. The facility is somewhere up the mountain. The trail is nearly invisible. No map shows it. The trees lean like they're guarding something. And then they came. The attack. The first one dropped from the trees. At first, I thought it was just a squirrel until it unfolded midair. Its body was the size of a melon, but shaped like a lumpy, wet brain with a segmented thorax and 8 long, jagged legs. It was slimy and moist. Each limb ended in a barbed hook. Its underside pulsated with veins that moved like they were thinking. Another followed, then 2 more. They didn't screech or hiss. They clicked like typewriters made of bone. I ran. Branches sliced my face as they chased after me. One of the things landed on my back. I rolled to the ground before crushing it against a tree trunk. It burst with a sound like raw meat hitting the floor, but another was already on me, crawling from my neck. They weren't trying to kill me. They were trying to get inside, trying to infect me as well. As I struggled against them, that's when I saw him. The forest went quiet. The spiders froze, legs twitching, and from between the trees. He emerged, the wolf. Massive, shaggy, amber eyes that glowed and burned. He didn't make a sound, didn't roar or howl. He just looked at the spiders, and they ran. No hesitation, no fight. They fled like rats from a fire, scattered in all directions. He turned to me, towering above, and then he spoke, voice deep, clear, almost human, but not quite. "If you're here," he said, "then that means you got my letter." I stood, heart still hammering, blood dripping down my cheek. The words barely formed in my mouth. "That was you?" He nodded once. "You wouldn't believe the truth if I told you," he said, "but you might survive it if you see it for yourself." He looked at the woods, not with fear, but with sorrow. "You're here now, so my job ends here. Go, before the recursion begins again. Find a vector." Then he turned and walked into the trees. Gone. Tomorrow, I reached the facility. Whatever Ouroboros built, whatever Claire became, it started because of what's behind that door. But now I know this. The monsters aren't always the ones with claws. Sometimes they wear faces. And sometimes the ones with fangs are the only ones trying to help. Ralston's journal, day 8. Before the descent, I should have turned around. I should have let this town rot. Let the wolves howl and the spiders crawl. Let whatever happened here stay buried. But curiosity's a parasite, too. And once it's inside you, it doesn't let go. I'm sitting in a shack near the ridge, old ranger outpost half swallowed by moss and disuse. I got my files, my flashlight, and a flask that's more empty than not. I'm writing this because I might not get another chance. And if someone finds this, you need to know what you're stepping into. In the bundle of case folders I found here were 3 new additions. When I've been looking for the others, well, subject Claire Rivers. Status unknown. Classification extranatural host. She didn't escape. She simply walked out of the prison. The case notes are messy, like half of them were redacted mid-sentence or burned at the corners. But from what I can read, she wasn't just an inmate. She was a byproduct, something Ouroboros had been shaping through solitary isolation, exposure to entity SHDW3, and intentional psychological destabilization. They pushed her into madness so something else could grow inside her. And when it did, she broke out like a newborn. The facility called her the Vector. She didn't break the cycle. She was the cycle, or at least a major aspect of it. Subject, entity 7289W. Alias, the Wolf. Confirmed non-hostile. Observed at 5 major anomaly events. Never kills. Interferes only to minimize damage. One page included a hypothesis. The wolf may be a guardian of fixed points in time, preserving balance in high-leak entropy zones. He's not hunting prey, he's hunting recursion, and he's been trying to stop this from happening for a long time. Project File, Echo Seed. Idea proposed by lead scientist, Eve no last name. No author, no date, just a stamped heading and the Ouroboros symbol. Echo Seed is a multi-tiered anomaly response trial focused on the artificial generation and looping of temporal instability for purposes of tactical advantage, memory recall mapping and reality, self-healing response simulations. They were trying to control time, not stop it, not reverse it, reshape it, loop it, and study the results. Claire wasn't the first, just the first to survive. Or maybe she didn't. I don't know anymore. Redacted file. The Red Plague. 1 page. 1 word. Dormant. Nothing else. Just a blank black page with a seal of Ouroboros and a blood-colored stamp burned in one corner. It feels like something's looking back from the paper. I'm leaving now. Going down the path, I found hidden beneath a false root system, stone stairs, and a long hallway deep into the earth. The spiders are getting louder. Something's waking up. The air was too still, like I was inside a throat that hadn't breathed in years. The walls are lined with peeling white tile, but underneath that, something organic. Veins, nerves, tubes? I don't know, whatever this place is, it's not just concrete. The walls bleed a thick green fluid. It was humid and the air felt heavy, the faint smell of decay in the air. I followed emergency lights, dim, red, blinking like slow heartbeats, through a curved corridor and into what must have been a command center. And that's when I met her. She looked like hell. Lab coat torn, face smudged with ash and blood, limping like her bones had healed wrong. She was wearing a strange-looking collar around her neck that seemed to vibrate. "You're not from here," she said, which means you're my answer. Her name was Dr. Nia Vosterkov, Echo Seed Site 13B Chief Stability Engineer, and the last one left unaffected. They thought they could rewrite time like a draft document, she explained. Control outcomes, predict chaos. What we did to all of them was never science. It was hubris. She had told me. She led me down into the labs, past shattered observation rooms, dead terminals, and walls pulsing with leftover heat. And then we heard them, the spiders. They move in packs now. They've learned to fight. One of them, larger, bloated with what looked like stolen brains, smashed through a window as we passed. I shot it twice. It kept moving. Dr. Vosterkov screamed something in Russian, pulled a canister from her coat, and slammed it into a vent. The air hissed, freezing cold gas, and the spider shrieked, recoiled, and melted into the tiles. They hate pressure variance, she said. Rapid temperature swings confuse the neurological bond. Use that. I don't know how long we fought or how long we ran, but eventually we reached the echo chamber, the echo seed core. It's not a room. It's a concept, a circular chamber filled with mirrors that don't reflect you. They reflect versions of you. I saw myself at 10, at 60, at dead, at something else. Dr. Vosterkov approached a crystalline device in the center. It looked like a flower made of data, pulsing with static light. One loop left charged, she said. You can fix this. Set it so none of this happens. Reset the sequence. But once you do, you won't forget anything. But we will, and something always slips through the loop. I asked her what that meant. She just handed me the trigger and said, even parasites dream of being gods. You have to be the one to reset it all. You have to push the button. After a short pause, I pushed it. Final entry, motel room number 6. I woke up to birdsong. Clean sunlight, no fog. I'm back in the motel. Everything's fine. Marcy's out front, watering plants. A young man checks in at the desk just as I'm leaving. It was normal quiet. Ralston's journal. Last entry, the motel key is still warm in my hand. It's over, or it's supposed to be. The machine went off. No leads on Claire. The spiders, the town, the facility, rewritten, folded neatly into a version of the world that makes sense again. Marcy's normal again, bubbly and full of joy. The coffee shop is clean. I even caught a scent of cinnamon in the air. Reality has been reupholstered. So why do I feel sick? I packed fast, threw my bag over my shoulder, not realizing something had come loose, something sticky, when I turned to my key at the front desk. I noticed when I started the car and felt a strange emptiness in my pack. It wasn't the gun or the recorder. something else, something missing. I couldn't put my finger on it. Everything I had was here. After a while, I gave up. As I walked out to the lot, I heard a voice from the front office, just casual, friendly conversation. The new guy checking in, yeah, just one night driving through. Name's Dave. Dave Keller. He'll take room 6, please. Something twisted in my stomach. The original case file. I drove a full hour before I couldn't resist and pulled over. I still had all the files I collected and opened the last file I hadn't touched yet. What I thought had just been filler. An early incident. Patient 0 from Ashridge. The first known victim of brain spider infestation, V.1. Dave Keller, age 28. Status, initial host. Infection spread, town completely interrogated. The case was closed, but I just saw him check into room 6. The same room I just left, back in the motel. After a long pause, I put the car in drive and drove down the road, leaving behind the town as it slowly faded behind me. Dave sets his bag down, unzips it slowly, goes to freshen up. Behind him, under the bed, something stirs. A slick, membranous shape twitches. An egg splits, out slitters a spider, pale gray, covered in delicate legs. Each tipped in a hook, it climbs the leg of the nightstand, pauses and listens. Dave hums to himself in the bathroom, blissfully unaware.